Good afternoon. Okay. I'm from the South, so y'all got to say good afternoon. I'm going to keep saying it. Good afternoon. How y'all doing? All right. Now, you didn't ask Roger any questions, so I'm assuming that I'm going to get the same kind of treatment. So thank you very much. And we'll go from there. I'm the infrastructure executive. I have a team of folks, and most of them are here, and they'll be able to answer some of your questions. And we're responsible for what's commonly known as the Telecommunications Infrastructure, or the DISA. And the DISA is evolving to an IT type of infrastructure, so information technology. So we want to more focus on the capabilities and services, and we want to involve the DISA to be better to support that. We manage the terrestrial network, including the undersea cables, as well as the SATCOM infrastructure. And there's various other components that we manage to support that as well, and services that I'll talk about in the next few slides. That infrastructure is the underpinning for a variety of services and capabilities that DISA provides. So we call it the enterprise infrastructure. You can call it the Doten core. As Mr. Bennett called it, it's the DISA. So that's what it's been for many years. That's what it is today. But you might hear the term Doten core. That's the DISA. You might talk about enterprise infrastructure. That's the DISA. So those are the things that we are talking about, and those various components that connect to it and provide those services. This also includes the SATCOM capability that's also associated with providing those infrastructure services as well. So the portfolio, I've kind of broken it up in two large pieces. There's the networking portfolio, the network portfolio, which focuses on the terrestrial kinds of capabilities and services, and the SATCOM portfolio, which I'll talk about on the next slide. On the terrestrial transport, that's where we're talking about the optical core, the MPLS network, the router network, and switching network, switching fabric. And that includes the NIPRNet, CIPRNet transport for the JWICs. Also includes the support for the internet access points and various other components that allow you to have connectivity into the network infrastructure and to provide services from the network infrastructure. There's a gateway component that supports, today it supports the DoD travel kits. We're putting commercial solutions for classified inside of that capability to provide a variety of different kinds of support for not just mobile devices, but also other types of services and capability that are used in our senior leadership, our communications environment. And also we support allied gateways as well from a variety of different countries as well. Under the special services, which you see on the bottom of the chart, is that's where we kind of do requirements analysis. We do a lot of the domain name service capabilities, services. We provide some support for some special users like the Secret Service and some senior leaders out of that portfolio as well. And then we have a group that's focused on senior leadership comms. And we see that multinational information sharing, that is the sustainment component of what Mr. Rivera's group, Captain Hoslam may have briefed you on, the MP, Mission Partner Environment. They're developing capability that's sustained by that group. There are some current capabilities that's in sustainment and a part of that portfolio, but that group and Captain Hoslam's group work together as a team to deliver coalition services as part of a coalition portfolio that's Captain Hopeland oversees. On the SATCOM side, you have the SATCOM gateways and the teleport program as well, which is an ACAT. The teleport program is an ACAT program. Under that portfolio, we're trying to work on how we're going to develop SATCOM capabilities, sustain SATCOM capability, and then how we're going to operationalize those SATCOM capabilities. So you will see some changes in the way we shift some of those capabilities from development, sustainment, and operations. That's not clean today. We actually do that a variety of different ways. One of my mandates is how we bring those together to make those capabilities clean and how we deliver those services. We have another capability called Enhanced Mobile Satellite Services that provides voice and data services and some short voice data capability as well to a variety of users, to include some special users around the globe. The Pathfinders, that's something that we were congressionally mandated to do. And that what we're doing is to look at how we gain efficiencies on how we deliver commercial SATCOM capabilities. There's 5 different initiatives that we're working on. We've been fairly successful in doing that. We've been able to save the department quite a bit of money. We just outbriefed the DoD CIO team and some congressional staffers, and they were very pleased with the outcome. And I can tell you more about what those savings are and what came out of that, but I don't want to do that on camera. Commercial SATCOM capabilities. The commercial SATCOM procurements and leasing, that is a very dynamic area where we can really use some industry input on how do we do it better. We provide a lot of really good service. We have a very good acquisition arm who we use with our procurement team that's out at Ditko Scott, and some of them at DISA headquarters. They do a good job of doing that. But how do we develop the requirements better for those users that are coming to us who wants these various types of services? Because I think there's some inefficiencies in how we do that. I think there's a lack of innovation in some of those requirements because we deliver what the customer asks. And I think we got to find better, innovative ways to deliver commercial SATCOM capabilities for the department and not just for a single user or for a single requirement. ASR and UVDS, the Airborne Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance missions are growing. We provide that transport capability to make sure that mission can support. That is absolutely a no-fail mission. We've done a very good job of doing that thus far, but I think there's a lot of work we can do on the operational side to make that better for the department. We're going to work hard over the next year on how to do that, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that we'll be looking for your support in helping us do that as well. So, question I often get, which is why I had this chart built, that actually there was a vendor that came in that actually introduced me to this, and I had my team build one for me, was how does the DISA fit into how we deliver the services and application services? So if you look at the bottom three platters, the fiber, satellite, and cellular, and the optical, and then the dedicated network, those are the things that pretty much make up, and the convergent PLS pretty much make up the DISA. Those are the components that deliver the transport. So if you think about like a AT&T or CenturyLink or Verizon, any of those companies you think about as a commercial service provider, that's kind of what we do, and we support the various services and application. That top platter, which is the level 5 and 7, if you look at it from an OSI type model, you have the data centers, which Roger just talked about, and we have unified capability. What we really should be saying is services and capability, because it's a variety of different kinds of services. Unified capability is just one of those capabilities. But all of those services and capabilities we provide across the department, all right across the business. So that infrastructure component, if you use an analogy as if you were building a house, you have the foundation, then you have the wall, you have the electricity, all of those things that have to be in place for that house to stand. We provide that kind of infrastructure. The applications is kind of the really cool stuff like the pictures on the wall, the curtains, kitchen compliances, all those things that you see, you use, you like, but the foundational piece have to be in place or the house will fall. So we provide that foundational piece. The part that we're really working hard on, and Mr. Bennett is championing, is how we do to get after the operational piece, so that everything that we do is operationalized and we can support end-to-end from a customer perspective. We do it fairly well today in lines of business, but we need to look at it holistically from a mission partner perspective or a customer perspective on how we do that. And I think that's going to be part of the mission set that we'll be working on over the next couple of years, I would think. So, if you look at the enterprise information environment, there's several DoD IT initiatives that we're working for, IAT goals. Of those, there'll be 8 that I'm going to talk about, but there's only a few that apply to me. Number 1 is executing the Joint Enterprise Capability Initiative. Under that, I've probably heard about GRSS. GRSS is a huge part of where we go forth and how we're going to secure our network going forward for internal defense and operations of the networks. The other part of that is the DISA transport that actually have to connect to that. We have to evolve the DISA transport where it has to be it shouldn't be something you have to think about. You just have to know it's there like electricity. Right? Today, we have to put in infrastructure when we get new requirements, but we got to build the network in a way that is survivable so that the infrastructure will be there to provide those capabilities and services. And all those little purple circles you see on that chart, all of those align to the different goals that are set there and where those are happening in the enterprise network environment. We have to improve how we do mission partner engagement. In this case, I'm talking about how we deal with other countries, how we deal with mission partners that are not our traditional mission partners that are part of the DoD, other federal agencies that get support from us. How do we bring them into our networks? How do we support them, and how do we help defend their networks and protect their networks as well, so that it become more plug and play for them to plug into our network to get capabilities and services, just like we provide for other parts of the Department of Defense. The cyber, how are we going to execute the cyber threat? The director thought that was so important that he established a directorate dedicated towards that under Mr. Alfred Rivera. I think Mr. John Hickey is in charge of the cyber directorate, their focus is fixing all of those problems, and I wish him a lot of luck in how he does that. Because there's a lot of challenges that we have in that area, both from an infrastructure perspective, from an operational perspective, and how we're going to sustain and deliver that capability. And John's the right guy to do that. So if he's in the building, you should talk to him about some of the things that he's working on. He has a huge mission set, and he can use all the help he can get from industry, to include how you use, and I think Mr. Bennett talked a little bit about this, is how you use some of the various tools, machine-to-machine kinds of capabilities to allow for those to happen. And obviously we talked about how we operationalize that as well. The number 4 is, you heard a lot about how we provide the cloud on the computing platforms as well. The optimization of the data centers, Raji talked a little bit about that. They have a tremendous challenge in the kinds of things they're trying to do, not because they're not capable of doing it, but because the users are very, very demanding. And each user has a different kind of application, they have a different requirement, and they have to make all of that magically happen as if it was easy, and it's not. I think they're up to the challenge. They will do a good job of that. But if there's ideas or capabilities out there in industry that you've seen, please share those with them so that they can actually leverage those ideas as they move forward. I won't talk a lot about the power of trust and information sharing, but I will tell you this. Everything we do and everything you bring to us need to have, you need to think about security as part of that capability delivery. Not just for how we secure your box, but how do we secure it in our environment. So when you bring capability that you want to plug into our network infrastructure, we need you to better understand what our environment is like and how we move that environment forward securely, not just your box, but how it fits from interoperable with all the various pieces of the network. And then resiliency and communications and network infrastructure. We often talk about resiliency in the terms of reliability, redundancy, security, and interoperability. But it's actually much more than that. I mean, getting to 5 nines reliability is fun if you're not the mission partner whose cable actually went down, even though we say the network's 5 nines. If you're that mission partner whose network or capability went down, to you, 5 nines don't mean a whole lot to you. So what I mean by this is that how do we make the network from a mission partner perspective, from a user perspective, appear to never go down? How do we make it so survivable that the user never experience outages? We have to have an authorized outage, or like what we call ESI, authorized service interruption. How do we do that in a way that the user is not impacted? Some folks in the industry has figured out how to do that. We need your help in helping us figure out how we do that with our network. So how do we evolve it from where it's at to where it needs to be, where that network is always on, at least from a customer perspective? And then we want to improve the oversight and execution of the DoD IT budget. I have no worries about that because we have an RMC center, a resource center that makes sure we spend the money wisely. So we need your help to understand that we're going to buy stuff, but the things we need, we got to get bang for buck. So bring us things that can actually allow us to use it in more than one way. Actually, I'm talking about from an infrastructure perspective. Bring me virtual capabilities, not just the regular boxes that we bring. Bring me things that don't need a big operational footprint where you have to have a bunch of people to manage and operate it. Those are the kind of things, the ideas that we're looking for to help us move forward. So acquisition opportunities that we have. The GNS PAC transport services, this is going to replace the DTSP contract we have in place. That will be an opportunity that will go out on GNS, and it will only be open to those vendors that are on GNS. It supports the transport capabilities in the PAC region, and some of the circuits actually go into Southwest Asia as well. That coming out in the first quarter, and then the third quarter, we're hoping to have an award. These are rough order of magnitude dates, so please don't hold me to those dates. We're doing some management service in IE1. We want to look at how we can actually use tools and capability to better manage some of our projects and some of our capability. We have some tools in place, but what I'm talking about in this case is how do we integrate those schedules into our implementation platform that links it to our warehouse capability, that links it to the delivery of products and capabilities out to the field, to users, and then allow operators to be able to see what it is that we're doing as well, without us having to actually have people engaged in doing those kind of things. So this is the kind of support we need to help us move those to the next level. On the teleport side, we have the teleport system engineering and program management. We're putting out an RFI for those already to see what the ideas are on how we can improve that servicing capability. This is a big terminal type capability or SATCOM type capability that we're looking for your support in doing those as well. And then GCSD2, which is Global Content Delivery Services. That contract is going to be full and open, and we're expecting that RFP to be out in the fourth quarter of FY18 with a projected award in the fourth quarter of FY19. And GSMO Recompete. You will begin to see stuff come out of our contract and logistics group on RFIs on what's next for the GSMO Recompete. We're working through the acquisition strategy. Right now, it's projected to be a single award. That may change because the acquisition strategy has not been approved or finalized. But the RFP is expected to be out in the fourth quarter of FY18 with a projected award for the third quarter of FY19. DISA Tech Refresh. DISA Tech Refresh is a portfolio of projects and efforts centered around how do we improve the technology and capability we have in the current DISA. So we're looking at end-of-life, end-of-cell type capabilities, and how do we tech refresh or do tech insertion for technology like legacy technologies that need to be removed from our network. It's a variety of different kinds of projects, a variety of different kinds of capabilities and services that we deliver across the DISA. You should be seeing now RFPs hitting the street for us to begin to actually get those projects on contract and deliver those services and capability. My team is here, so if you have questions about some of those projects that we're working, they'll be out at the front table and they'll be able to discuss some of those with you as well. But there's a variety of different acquisition approaches that we will be doing and a variety of different kinds of services and capability that kind of fits the whole portfolio of services we have in the DISA. And then circuits and transport services. We do a lot of these. And we primarily use GNS, we use bulletin board, we also use GSA, and we also use a variety of other vehicles. But for overseas, our primary method by which we will deliver services will be on GNS for OCONUS type of services to include SPA in Afghanistan. Other services in the kind of United States could be a variety of different kind of contracts depending on what the acquisition team out at Ditko Scott think is the best approach for us to deliver that, to get that service and capability on contract. We don't predetermine what that's going to be. So I would encourage you to talk to my team and also talk to the folks at PSD as these opportunities come out to position yourself to compete for those as well. So here's how I think you can help us. Nothing about what I do is going to get simpler. In fact, I think it's going to get more challenging. And I think we have to move to virtual networking to some degree. I think it's a balance between both having the physical hardware and having the virtual networking capability in place. Today, we are primarily hard iron. I know that we can virtualize some of the routing capability that we have. I know that we can virtualize some of the switching platforms that we have. We want to do that. We need to figure out how, with your help, how do we get that mix? There are things that we can move into the cloud, or there's things that we can move into capacity services. What are those things that are the right answer for us to stop doing and allow that to be part of the cloud services that you heard Mr. Held and others talk about? Are there things that we do today that best fit in a cloud environment versus the way we traditionally have done it? And we're looking at that as well. Very important is how we operate and defend the network. We need to operationalize the entire network, not by capability, but as a complete service. So how do we operate the DISA? Not just components of the DISA, but the entire DISA. And then what are those tools and capabilities that we need to have in place to allow the operators to be effective at what they do as far as how they operate the network on behalf of the department. Then how do we make this network survivable? Not from the traditional thought of, 5 nines reliability, survivability, redundancy, but truly from a customer perspective, a mission partner perspective, a user perspective. How do we make it appear that the network never goes down, that services are always available, that the services are redundant, and we have adequate failover in the network to ensure that your experience or the customer's experience is always a good one? And I say this every year, and I will continue to say it, we need to do stuff faster. So give us creative ideas on better ways that we can approach how we deliver these services and capability. Do we get some of these services from you? versus us providing them ourselves and then we just become a user of the services that you provide? Do we leverage more commercial infrastructures and then we encrypt across that infrastructure to deliver that capability? I don't know what the right answer is, but we need your help in determining how do we deliver some of these services faster. And we have to eliminate legacy technology or we will never be able to operationalize this network. So what I hear often is that you give me boxes that replace the old boxes that do exactly the same thing the old box did, right? I need something to replace the box that moves us to the future, right, and evolve the customer to what's next, right? And we're never going to be a single platform network. It's never going to happen. So we're going to have integration, we're going to have interoperability, and we're going to have all of those components work securely. So we need your help in making sure that you go through the testing process. And the testing process doesn't necessarily just have to be at our labs. It could be at yours. We can come out to your facilities and participate in some of those as well, and then bring it back to our environment to make sure it works in our environment. So let's just think out of the box on how we can do some of those things. But these are all important components for us to be successful as we move forward. I think that's my last slide. Yep, it is. With that, I'll ask you if you have any questions. It should be no, since you had Raji said no question. Once, twice? Go.